Yo, gang, what's up? The wait is over. Now it's time for Trollbot.EXE to cover the History of Voltron, Part 4, on Trollbot Studios. This time, we will be talking about the second half of Voltron's development, from the trilogy plans all the way to when it was actually released. So, let's waste no time and go into that good old recap. Yee! Last time on part 3 of the History of Voltron, I covered Voltron's inception as a trilogy of anime dubbed and released in the West as one singular product. Initially, Daltanius was supposed to take Gold Lion's place as the third installment in this anime trilogy. But, due to that call last episode, and Ted Koppler not remembering the names of the anime, Gold Lion ended up here in the West instead. So, Die Rugger, Albegus, and Gold Lion all here in the West as one trilogy. A staff was hired to create the series, and eventually it got the name Voltron. So, like that? Now let's get into the actual episode. So, after the name was decided, for some reason, World Events decided to go with Gold Lion first. Probably because of the air date order. Gold Lion airing in 81, Die Rugger in 82, and Albegus in 83. Back to back to back. So, here came the changes between versions. Most notably with the Voltron character Sven. There's actually two characters in Gold Lion, Takashi and Ryo Shirogane, two brothers in the original show. Takashi dies in episode 6 at the hands of Honerva, one of the main bad guys who would eventually become Hager, and in the Japanese version, Hager was female. Ryo was virtually identical to Takashi, and even shared the same voice actor, Ryusei Nakao, most famous for voicing Frieza in Dragon Ball. And another interesting note, Takashi's killer, Honerva, is actually voiced by none other than Masako Nozawa herself, who also voices Hiroshi/Shori, the Green Ranger of the Gold Lion team, and is most notable for voicing Goku in Dragon Ball. So, even in Gold Lion, Frieza still can't beat Goku. So, since the two characters basically were identical, yeah, they decided to make them one the same. Another change was to, de-Japanese the show a bit, as you would call it. Mainly because a lot of the symbolism would need explained to an American audience, and nobody got time for that, so that has to be thrown out the way. And to establish a higher quality English dub, World Events got actors from the Screen Actors Guild, two of which being Jack Angel, who would voice King Zarkon, known in Japan as Daibazal, and Peter Cullen, who did the narration, Cullen being most known for voicing Optimus Prime, which he was doing around the same time. Also, Jack Angel actually appeared in Toy Story 3 as Chunk, one of Lotso's cronies. Toy Story 3 I watched a lot. But besides the point, Voltron was the second show ever to use 2-channel stereo sound, the first being The Tonight Show. So on September 10th, 1984, Voltron aired on TV and took off almost immediately. Yeah, as you can see, kids took to it immediately, and I guess it was airing on weekdays because on December 14th, 1984, Vehicle Force, aka Die Rugger, began airing. But you see, World Events had a problem. Golion and Die Rugger, story-wise, shared next to nothing with each other, with Golion being a lot more fantastical. So even when the original voice cast moved to their new roles, the jarring change caused ratings to plummet. As a result, Albegus was never adapted, and Gladiator Force was never to be seen. Out of options, World Events got Toei to make 20 episodes worth of Golion footage. It worked, as Voltron became the #1 syndicated kids show of 1985. Talk about a Hail Mary. Both Voltrons, nonetheless, bowed out in 1986 with Voltron, Fleet of Doom, a 45-minute TV movie with both super robots. So, now that we've covered the production, let's talk about the plot. So, in Lion Force, the titular Lion Force made up 5 pilots: Heath, Lance, Pidge, Hunk, and Sven. They combined the 5 robot lions, which combined to form Voltron, a mighty defender robot of peace. The Lion Force used Voltron to protect Eris, a distant planet, from King Zarkon and his witch Hagar, and their army of Robies, who terrorized the planet, ruled by Princess Allura. Allura being Princess Fala's name in the English version. In Vehicle Force, the protagonists are divided into teams. Each team is specialized in their own fields of expertise and gathering data in said field. These teams are the Sea Team, Land Team, and Air Team. Each of these teams can combine their vehicles into bigger machines, and the 3 teams can combine all of their vehicles together to form the Vehicle Voltron, and they use it to fight the Drool Empire. Okay, you got all that information? So, Matchbox released toys for Voltron, even releasing combination figures in the order of the original Voltron trilogy: Die Rugger, then Albegus, then Golion. I don't know if they released toys for Daltanius or not, but they most likely did. Even after Matchbox lost their rights, toys were still being made. And eventually everyone realized that the future was in Lion Voltron and Lion Voltron alone. So, that's the end, for now. Now let's go into why Voltron was so successful over here, when the series that made up it did okay in Japan. This situation, though it has a simple answer, is quite unusual, as it's unlike other popular anime titles in the West, like Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, and even Macross, which were already popular in Japan to begin with before they were even thought of being exported over here to the US, especially DBZ and Pokemon. Even Macross, when it was brought over to the US as Robotech, Macross was already very popular in Japan, well, at least for the 1980s, though it still has a fairly sizable fan base. So, the thing that made Voltron work was that there were not many robot shows over here in the US, or at least combining robot shows. In Japan, combining robots were a dime a dozen, especially back in the late 70s and during the 80s and even the 90s. While over here, very few titles got nationwide release, and that's talking robot anime in general, and not specifically combining robot anime, which even fewer came over. Even then, most notable ones were confined to different regions, such as Getter-Robo-G, which was confined to the eastern United States as part of Force 5. Getter-Robo-G is a sequel to the original Getter-Robo, the first combining robot anime. I think it was also Lion Voltron's simplistic design, thanks to Katsuji Murakami's magic, that allowed audiences to just connect with it and instantly make it recognizable as a brand. So, that's the story for now. But just you wait, because next up we have the prequel series, where we go into the stuff pre-Daltanius, which means we're going into the Robot Romance Trilogy and Raideen. So, get excited for that. And in the meantime, later, fools!